Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturns. I appreciate it when I can get a batch of green, freshly cut, wet wood. For one thing, it's cheap. We generally get it for free except for the chainsaw that I have to be able to process it down. That's the case with some elm that I got almost 3 years ago. However, the people that cut it down chopped it up into fairly short sections, and only a few of them were long. So while I really like that for bullwood, that batch was more for smaller, shorter projects. So I decided to turn a small box out of a piece of it. It was only about this tall, so I had to conserve what I had. But I did not want to wait for it to dry in the same block. So at that time, I did rough it out and drill through the center, cut off the lid so that it would have more circulation inside and less moisture to dry out and more access for air to dry the moisture. So that is all well and good. The only trouble is that even then when it's dry, do I remember what it is? I'm always focused on the latest thing. But here's a chance for me to go back and catch up and turn a nice little box out of that green batch of elm that I have. So let's turn this box.
This is a small block of elm from a batch that I found in a neighboring area. Unfortunately, they had sliced the log into a mix of fairly short sections. It is fresh and very wet. Mounted between centers, I roughed the cylinder. Now I can trim the ends and cut tenons with my skew. Now that the wood is mounted to a chuck, I can proceed. Because there is not a lot of wood, I am going to cut the lid portion differently. After cutting a 45-degree angle at the top, I am going to attempt to cut the lid from the middle before hollowing. I'm using my parting tool, but this is rough going. The tall blade quickly binds in the middle on one side and the top and bottom on the other side. This forces me to make the cut even wider, which worries me whether I can get a decent lid that will still close the opening. Finally, success. The lid is free. Since the wood is still very wet, I'm drilling the center with a Forstner bit. Then the wood can dry from the center out as well as from the outside in. Then just a little wood removal. Not much, but corners tend to crack, so I'll round this over just a tiny bit. Just a little more work to do before letting this all dry. The lid is mounted to the chuck while I tool back the conical section from the lid. I take a moment to indent the center with a live center point, just in case. And what else? Got a new tenon on the side. This time I wrap the bottom and the lid together with multiple layers of plastic wrap. Then let it dry. However, after several months, I found that it was not losing weight due to moisture loss. Too much plastic. I cut slits in the plastic to allow moisture to escape. Finally, over 2.5 years later, it is dry and ready to turn. The wood is pressed against the chuck jaws using the original live center divot while I trim the tenon back to be uniform again. Now again mounted securely to the chuck, I can again work to hollow the inside. I start with a box scraper, which does a good job of cutting straight sides. But my lid is small. If I keep hollowing out like this, the lid will fall inside. Instead, I need to hollow with a round nose scraper to hollow more below the opening, leaving the opening area more narrow to fit the lid. Finally, I'm happy with the hollowing and the fit to the rough lid. Now's my chance to trim back the exterior before sanding inside and out. Now to apply a first coat of wipe-on poly. Finally, I can see the grain and how this box will look. Now the lid is mounted back on the chuck with the bottom side out. I carefully trim the lid, but ensure it fits the box opening. I drill a shallow hole, hoping I can use it to remount the lid a little bit later. Then expand the hole and blend it into the bottom side. However, the hole is too tapered to use for mounting. Problem. But sand and finish this now while it is mounted. There's not much left to do. Maybe I can get this to work. I tooled a faceplate to attempt to match the profile of the bottom of the lid. Then a little double-stick tape will hopefully do the job. Let's see if I can get this work done. Live center support seems critical while I cut an integrated handle into the profile. Finally, with most of the work completed, remove the live center and gently finish the top profile. Then sand and finish the top side. At this point, I still need to address the bottom of the box, but how will I hold it? Some would use a jam chuck, but a jam chuck would not hold this profile very well since the wood tapers at the mouth. Pin jaws to the rescue. I had to make another set with a smaller diameter to fit the mouth. As insurance, I am using a band clamp to put pressure to offset the expansion pressure from the pin jaws. Over-tightening would split the thin wood at the mouth, but I need a good secure hold. The band clamp is insurance. A paper towel ensures against damage from the band clamp. Then I can quickly trim back the bottom and sand and apply finish. This completes the almost 3-year journey to turn this box. Not all that time was required for drying. One problem with turning wet wood is getting it back on my schedule once it is dry. It is away and mostly forgotten. Despite all that time, I now have a nice box. Time for treats! Meanwhile, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my website, as well as on YouTube. Please spread the word by telling your friends about my weekly videos. I also appreciate your comments and questions. Please wear your full face shield whenever the lathe is running. I hate to nag, but are you wearing yours?